Well, adaptive reuse is basically finding new life for an existing structure or space. Most commonly you see adaptive reuse as our loft conversions in downtown Long Beach, everything from the Walker department store and Crest building, which are now high-end lofts, to looking at even the building that we're sitting in right now. It was a retail building, but now it's a creative office space. And so it's basically finding new life for existing structures. What has been taking place more recently is looking at public infrastructure in a new way and looking at converting it to a new use. And commonly we've seen old rail stations converted into market halls, or actually Museum d'Orsay in downtown Paris used to be an old railroad station. Now it's a museum of art. But we're seeing it go from beyond structures to infrastructure. And obviously the most popular right now is the High Line elevated park, which is in its third phase. It's an elevated linear park going through the meatpacking district of Manhattan that took advantage of a long dormant freight rail that was elevated 30 feet up above the street level, and it's now this incredibly vibrant park that has provided much needed open space, small but very active. But is perhaps less popular known is Promenade Plots, which is a similar project in Paris, in the Bastille neighborhood, that took, again, an old viaduct, an old elevated railroad, and converted into an elevated linear park. What's interesting about that is there's actually a superstructure below that it was a series of arches that got filled in with glass and became artisan shops, everything from paper makers to florists. And so, you know, you're seeing more and more communities do things like that. There's many cities that are looking at infrastructure in a different way, and perhaps less sexy. Long Beach has actually been repurposing old railroads for a while now. There's probably about 3 or 4 parks along the old Pacific Electric right-of-way that sort of cuts diagonally through the city, with another half dozen more. And so, you know, this discussion around the Shoemaker Bridge, it's at least a discussion to have. Whether it's viable or appropriate, it's you know, it's part of the exploration. You know, if you're going to look at the Shoemaker Bridge to be repurposed as public open space, is it feasible as far as structurally? Can it hold the dirt and landscape that, you know, would be ideal for park space in this area? Is it viable as you enter, as you add a second bridge, a new bridge? Can you keep the existing bridge structure and still maintain the required flood control facility? It's very much a hot button topic with the Army Corps of Engineer and flood control. Yeah, 3 acres of new park space would be incredibly valuable for this community, which is dramatically underserved compared to any other neighborhood across this city. But is it accessible? Is it visible? You know, are local residents going to be able to use this space, or is it just going to be something that sits there? And so that's got to be part of the discussion. Connectivity on either side of the river, that's got to be part of the discussion, because it'd be unfortunate if this became a white elephant. And you know, whether this is a park, that's one question, but how does it design to be a good park? And so it's an exciting idea, but is it, you know, the right one?